The development of insulin resistance and increase in type 2 diabetes diagnoses and what have you. And so that's kind of what's happening when you see that. So once you start seeing that excess belly fat, especially when it's out of proportion to your other body, you see the rest of your body changing, but you don't quite see that happening. See that changing the way that you would like. Even if you have not been diagnosed with diabetes, insulin resistance happens before a lot of the laboratory type tests change. And so that's kind of where when people come to me about releasing excess weight, they come to me. And so I address that. I address what I see and different things that I hear. Other things can show up on your body too, that kind of signify your body is getting basically over, I don't want to say nourished, because it's actually a form of malnourishment to not, to actually have insulin resistance, right? So, because you're not getting nourished properly, if we're using that word, that part of the word mal as what is called bad or just out of the norm, right? So malnourished would still apply here. And we tend to only apply that to people that we can say are too skinny, right? Well, that's a whole other topic, and we won't even go in there, and probably stop saying that to people. They probably don't want to hear it just as well as somebody doesn't want to hear the FAT word, right? So that's just a little aside from me. So, and thinking about how we hear things and what people say and what we say to ourselves, right? Hey, Dr. Cheryl. Hey, Dory on purpose, I see you. And so, so when you start having that excess belly fat, you are actually in the realm of insulin resistance, whether your labs have changed or not. And that's where it's tricky for doctors, because you guys want to see the labs change first before you start doing the changes. And we're trying to catch it before you see the labs change, because then you're chasing a disease process, right? So we have to address that. So definitely that happens a lot more. I know, women that are perimenopausal, so around their menopausal age, or going into menopause, or in menopause, or postmenopausal, that actually happens. And that's why I say that suspicious fat that shows up is actually not your fault, because if you had a little bit, it actually definitely increases a lot of times after you go into menopause or perimenopause, which means you're kind of moving toward menopause, right? And so that means that your body is changing in other hormones. So that's another thing that folks don't realize, is that insulin is a hormone. And so you're talking about your other hormones. Usually we say it's a hormonal effect or whatever. I think my hormones are out of balance. Well, you're right, but kind of right and wrong, because you're thinking that it's your, your female hormones or your male hormones. And although those play a role, because all the hormones are kind of interrelated, right? And they affect one another. And so one out of balance can definitely lead to others being out of balance. And that is kind of what happens here. So in menopause, you're starting to become more estrogen dominant as far as women are concerned. And so that actually increases your likelihood of insulin resistance. That actually sets you up for insulin resistance, and you start depositing this fat. Now, why does the body do that? It's actually doing that because the body was set up to help us in stress times of starvation and what have you, so that when there wasn't food available and all of that, that your body would have something to actually work off of, work off that fat. But we don't experience that much, right? Like, we have enough to eat. That's part of the issue, is that we have enough and probably too many choices to eat, and we don't move around the same way that we do. We don't have to hunt for our food anymore. We don't have to go get water from, 2 miles away or anything. So your activity has changed. Hey, PK, Kevin Craig, hey there, how you doing? And hey, Charlene. So, we have to treat that the same. And so some other things happen when that happens. So not only now when we say insulin resistance, what it means is as you eat, as you've learned how to eat, we all learned how to eat the same way. You can have rice and you have a meat and then you have a veggie and then you have something else, you have some milk or whatever. When you have that carb load, that's actually surging your insulin. And your insulin, so you do that over time. You can imagine you're eating 3 meals a day. Those of you that eat grits and different things like that, and even eating oatmeal, you have to be cautious. Like if I eat oatmeal, I try not to eat oatmeal now because I like oatmeal like in a big bowl with a lot of raisins. And that is like a huge setup for that insulin surge. Okay. So even though oatmeal can be good for you, you have to still be mindful of how much you're eating of it because it still is, higher in carb, right? So that actually surges your insulin. Your insulin does a very good job of clearing out what you have eaten and then break it down to the sugar that it recognizes for energy, right? And whatever you don't use gets deposited as fat. So there is that belly growing and growing, right?